It's time to get geared up with GeekWire's weekly tech and gadget show. Here are your hosts, Todd Bishop and Andrew Edwards.
Welcome to Geared Up from GeekWire and Gear Live. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
We've got a ton to talk about this week on the show. Apple had some relatively significant announcements, especially on the software side. We've got a new app from Apple that's going to be competing with Snapchat and some other big social apps out there, but also some new iPads that I think might have underwhelmed Andrew. So,
well, before we go there,
yes, exactly.
What do you think of this right here?
Yeah,
look at those two guys.
Andrew's pointing out our new logo. If you subscribe to the podcast very soon, we're going to have a dedicated Geared Up podcast feed that you'll be able to subscribe to. So stay tuned for details on that.
Subscribe to it, share with your friends.
Yep,
your favorite podcast.
That's right. This is sort of a teaser of what the podcast art initially will be. It's still a work in progress. We're talking about how to improve it.
But, by the way,
yes.
So this past week there was the GeekWire Bash.
Yes.
And there was Galaxar. We kind of talked about that last week as well. And at both events, multiple people came up to me and said they love Geared Up.
Wow.
Which I was shocked by. I don't know. I'm always shocked when people come up to me in real life.
Yes.
But that was really cool to hear. Like,
That's
people
awesome.
are actually out there listening and enjoying the show. So thank you, everybody out there, for your support.
That's great. And I would like to give a shout out to the animation, the caricature artist, for giving me my hair back. I did not actually ask for that, for the record.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. And he really made my beard smooth, too, by the way. I don't have that good of a beard. Like almost like a villain.
If you're listening on the podcast and wondering what we're talking about, you'll see it soon.
Yes, you will.
In the podcast.
All right, iPads.
Yes. So, new iPad. The headline was probably the 9.7-inch iPad, essentially the new one, replacing the former iPad Air 2, if I understand this.
That's correct.
And it seems like the big change here is the price. The iPad Air 2 has been selling at an entry-level price of $399.
Right.
And Apple dropped the price of this corner of its iPad portfolio to $329,
which is
9.7
pretty
inch.
interesting.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think it's interesting. So there's a couple things going on here. At first glance, we have a new iPad that's now just called iPad. It's not iPad Air Pro, whatever. It's just iPad, 9.7 inches. It's got the A9 processor instead of the A8X processor of the iPad Air 2. So it's more powerful. And it's cheaper, $329. So now they dropped the price by $70 to get into the standard iPad ecosystem. But Apple also eliminated the iPad Mini 2 today. So the Mini 2 was $299. And so technically the cheapest way to get into the whole iPad ecosystem was $299 previously, and now it's $329.
Gotcha.
But the iPad Mini 2 was so old. Like, I don't know, it's like 4 years old or something. So that's fine. Like, get rid of that because that's fine. I think it's interesting that they didn't do anything else with the iPad. So I was saying earlier, I thought it was kind of a boring update today.
Yeah.
Because it's not, we have the iPad Pro. We have the iPad Pro 9.7. We have the iPad Pro 12.9. And iPad Pro 12.9 is about a year and a half old now. And the iPad Pro 9.7 is about a year old now. So I thought today we were going to get updates across the board, and instead they only updated the entry level. So for a guy like me, I have the iPad Pro, so I'm not interested in this update.
Do you think there's more to come here? Because we talked about this last week. They did not have a special event for this. They just kind of dumped the news as a regular old-fashioned press announcement.
Press release. Here it is. There's definitely something more coming. I mean, obviously,
but I mean in the short term, like before the holiday season, will we see?
Before the holiday season,
yeah.
I would say by the holiday season.
By the holiday season.
They have. I mean, they've never really launched a brand new iOS feature on the iPad before. It's always iPhone first, and then the iPad gets it. And I'm wondering if that's what's going on, because the rumor is that the next major iPad update, probably the iPad Pros, are going to have these bezel-less displays. And it would be odd of Apple to launch something like that on an iPad versus launching it on an iPhone first. So if I had to guess, we'll see the iPhone in September like we normally do. And then October, there'll be another event for, I'm guessing, iPad Pros. And at that point, the 12.9-inch iPad will be 2 years old, and it's going to be time for an update anyway. And that's probably when we'll see that stuff.
So Robert Scoble was on the show, on the main GeekWire show a few weeks back. His theory is that when Apple opens its new campus coming up in the spring, they'll do some giant event on campus to mark the opening of the facility and also unveil their new augmented reality, blended reality, iPad Clear. Are you buying into?
No,
because I know that's been the rumor all along.
No.
Okay.
What's the rumor?
That the iPhone's
going to be clear.
The iPhone's going to be clear.
He's the only one that said
so
that.
He is the rumor.
He
basically
made that rumor up. Yes.
Okay.
He said, "Here's what." Well, he said, "I have it on good authority that this is what's going to happen." But he's the only one that said that. My belief personally is that the next iPhone will be big with augmented reality, but it's not going to be a clear piece of hardware. It's going to be a bezel-less display, so the whole face or almost the whole face of the device will be display, and then you launch the camera app, which then all of a sudden makes it appear to be that the device disappears because now you're looking through the camera.
That makes a lot of sense.
See, that is what I'm expecting. Then you point, let's just say you point, you're in New York City, you point your camera at the Empire State Building, and Siri will automatically recognize and put on this Empire State Building, 16-minute walk away, tap here for directions, click here for Wikipedia, like stuff like that, where you just point at stuff and it recognizes it. That's my guess. I don't know. I don't have it on good authority, but I do have it on good hypothesis. It's not going to be a clear, there's no clear battery, there's no clear camera module. There's no, all this stuff can't just be clear.
I don't know how far he was going with that assertion, whether he thought the entire thing was going to be clear or if he meant just more the bezel. But at any rate.
Right. Or if it's just a way to get attention. If you say something like that, people are going to link to you and share your post.
And he does have a book out.
That's true. Right. Not happening, though. Okay. No clear. Right. They also updated the iPad Mini 4 today.
So we're looking at that back here.
Here it is.
Correct.
So the iPad Mini 4, actually, this is my favorite iPad size, but unfortunately, there's no iPad Mini Pro. So, I like the best hardware, so I don't really use it that much anymore. But this device stays exactly the same. No hardware changes as far as speed or anything like that, except the capacity is now doubled. So now, for the same price, 16 gigabytes gone. Across the board, actually, all their products, no more 16 gigs. So now you can get it in 64 or 128 gigabytes.
So what does that say to you about the state of Apple's cloud? Because the whole idea would be you shouldn't have to store as much on your device. You shouldn't need a 32 gig. You should be able to get away with a 16 gig and just use iCloud for the rest. I mean, does this sort of mark the...
Stuff doesn't live on iCloud, though.
Okay.
iCloud backs up everything.
Sure.
And gives you a copy of stuff. But
isn't
for me,
the idea to move away from local storage and your connection is so great that you don't have to worry about it?
Yes, but
theoretically,
it's only been within the last month that these phone carriers went to unlimited again. So if you're out and about all the time, like I work from home, I am on Wi-Fi all the time. But if you're just out and about, you don't have the data to, let me download this movie from my cloud and upload this to my, it's too much management.
Understood.
So you're going to be going over your budget and everything. I have a 256 gigabyte iPhone. I carry around I have a lot of videos on there, a lot of photos for all the work that I do. I would hate to be having to wait around for stuff to go up and down the cloud. I just want my stuff to be there immediately and not have to wait. And plus, the operating system, if you have a 16 gigabyte phone, you really have a 10 gigabyte phone. Because the operating system takes up stuff and apps take up stuff. And so, yeah.
So, but I derailed you there. The main difference is in the iPad Mini, the new iPad Mini 4.
Yes.
The increase in the storage for the same price.
And that's doubling. It. Yes, that is it. So you can get the iPad Mini 4 now at the same price as before, but just more capacity.
So bottom line here on the iPads, big news, medium news. How do you wrap this one up?
I think it's, you didn't give your opinion of this because you seem like you were pretty excited about it.
I love the idea that they're making the 9.7-inch iPad cheaper. I mean, if you're talking about a $329 iPad, that's really, I tend to think of the iPad Mini more in that range, really. And, the iPad Mini that we run the show on with our Mevo camera, that's about how much we paid new, if I remember correctly. And so I think it's great that they're making it more affordable. And to me, that's more interesting than some, souped up iPad Pro,
Right.
personally. Because if I want something along the lines of an iPad Pro, I'm going to use a computer.
Sure.
I want a powerful, cheap device.
Okay.
That's where I am.
So for people like you who I think are more budget conscious or don't need the fastest thing out there and looking at an iPad as more of a utility device, that is where I think it is a win, because people haven't been updating their iPads. People buy iPads and they don't update them then the following year or even 2 years later because they're good enough. Now, and they're expensive. And now for people who still use the iPad 2 or the iPad 3, which is years ago, now there's a brand new iPad that's much more powerful than what you have at a very, I think, affordable price. And I think that's who they're targeting with this. They want to get people to upgrade.
But for the gadget hounds, the people on the high end.
If you have an iPad Pro, there's no need to buy this thing. No.
Yeah. Okay. This is great. Well, I actually was much more excited by another Apple announcement that had really nothing to do with hardware. And we're going to talk about that coming up around the corner. You're listening to Geared Up on GeekWire, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Geared Up on GeekWire. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
We are talking this week about some of the latest news from Apple, hot
Yes.
off the presses. We just got done talking about the new iPad and the sort of slightly revamped iPad mini.
Yeah, just storage.
Storage.
Are you getting one? The question, I always ask you this. Are you getting one? Because it seems like you get excited about stuff, but you don't actually buy it.
Isn't that good, though? Isn't that like fiscally responsible?
Yes.
I'm getting my enjoyment of this. I'm getting all I need out of these devices right here talking to you
Aren't you
about
the
them.
founder of one of the top technology web properties in the world? I'm just saying, like, 'cause I am too, but I buy these things.
All right. Okay, so hey, not just hardware. It was software and apps.
Right.
And
There is more hardware to come, though.
There is. So
Okay, software, let's
a
talk
new
about this.
app that Apple will be releasing in April is called Clips.
Clips. What the hell is this?
Clips is
What are they doing?
Clips is essentially Apple's version of Snapchat Stories. So what you can do is you can take short video clips, stitch together photos, add what they're calling live titles, not live tiles.
Live titles.
Yeah, Microsoft had live tiles.
Yes, they still do.
Apple sort of. Apple has live titles.
Okay.
So, and the killer feature here is that you can speak into the phone when you press the button, hold to record, and what it does is it does automatic transcription, and then it adds those words to your clip, to your
clip.
Apple clip.
Okay.
And it syncs them with your voice. And so you can say, I had a great time doing Geared Up today, or whatever.
Right. I wouldn't say that, but yeah.
and it basically adds it. So this is Apple
That's
moving
cool.
into this whole social story.
Well, kind of.
You can you can share it on Apple Messages. You can share it on Facebook, Snapchat. I don't know if it's Snapchat or not.
You can share anything on Snapchat.
Yeah.
So
you can
so
basically share it
basically,
across social networks.
it lets you create a clip of video that you can store on your phone and then share from your phone like any other clip of video.
Exactly.
Which means they're not necessarily competing with Snapchat because they don't host this, video.
Well, to some extent they do, because it's basically upgrading messages in some ways.
Yes, but that's one-to-one,
Yeah,
right? Or
okay.
one like in your group. Like it's not a social network where
right.
someone can follow me like Snapchat and see all my snaps and all that. But it gives you a way to create more interesting content than the built-in features
Yes.
of a Snapchat or an Instagram story or any of these myriad. That's kind of cool. I didn't realize it synced it to your voice.
Yeah, so basically, and you can add, of course, all the stickers and the
Right.
emojis and
Stickers
all
are
that
big.
stuff. So yeah, to me,
Are you
this
getting
was
it?
interesting. Well, this is free.
Are you getting it though?
Of course.
Are you going to use it?
So it's going to come out in April. It's going to come out in April.
Right? Why would that's weird? Like, why would you announce this and not put that's weird?
I thought it was odd too. It was a very unusual strategy, because usually companies would say, "Okay, let's get our iPad hit out today.
Right.
We'll get that news out today."
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, when this thing is actually on the market,
We've got more news.
we've got more news,
Right.
and you get a whole other news cycle.
and you can
out
get
of
it right now.
which makes me think there's more going on here than we realize.
With this?
Was this Apple clearing the decks? Was this Apple saying, you know what, we got a bunch of these sort of minor products in the pipeline. Let's get them out the door. Just,
Right.
take out the trash, Phil.
Okay.
You know,
Phil? Okay. So, yes, because we know that WWDC is happening in June.
Right.
So 3 months away, 90 days away, we're going to see iOS 11, Mac OS, whatever the new version is of that. Usually it's a software show. But man, I was hoping, like, there's some stuff I was hoping for today that we didn't see. Obviously, the iPads. We didn't see any new iMacs. That's what I was hoping for. So maybe that'll come at WWDC. But yeah, you got to, I guess, clear the deck for, WWDC is such a big event because iOS and Mac OS are two huge, pieces of news that they always do the same day. And you don't want to have all this other stuff like mixed in there. But still, like this, like you could have just announced the day that it was released.
Yes.
Hey, here's our new app. Go download it right now.
I had a couple thoughts on that. First, I wondered if, apart from my conspiracy theory on there being much more, I wondered if they learned something from the build-up to Super Mario Run and how that app was announced really months in advance of the actual release. And so they got two kind of publicity bumps out of it. I mean, this is all kind of inside media baseball.
True. Yeah.
But ultimately, it does impact how many people use the devices.
True.
So, or use the apps and use the products.
Yes. And by the way, as an aside, Super Mario Run will be on Android by the end of this month.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So if you're on Android, you've been waiting for Mario Run, it's coming. I believe it's March 29th.
Question on this one. This does not seem like Apple at its best. Apple seems to be at its best when they are redefining a category.
Okay.
This seems like it's following the other folks with one unique feature, which is the voice synchronization and the transcription.
But that is unique.
It is unique.
But, in some ways, they have to lead. But in some ways, you do have to follow. And here, Apple devices aren't just for work. And they no longer are just for creation either, like professional creation. This is where the millennials are going and the teens are going, right? So they want these kinds of experiences, and Apple is, here they are, providing that experience that generation wants.
And the other big tricky thing that Apple's dealing with here is, they depend on app makers like Snapchat and Facebook to do a great job. This is the classic platform partner dilemma. Do you compete with the people who have made your platform a success or not?
Right.
Microsoft dealt with this. Everybody deals with this if they have a platform.
Apple doesn't care. They just, we think we want to make something, we're going to make it.
I think what's the phrase? This is going way back. I think they actually turned this into a verb. Sherlocked.
Oh, yeah.
Where, there was the Apple search feature. And I'm trying to remember all the details. I think it was on the original Mac.
Okay.
And they
I do recall this.
Put a third-party developer out of business in a lot of ways, and it was through Sherlock. So.
Oh well.
Yeah. so that is Clips.
That's Clips. Who out there is downloading Clips? Who's excited about Clips? What announcement today from Apple were you most excited by? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, if you're listening,
it seems like this is yours.
Yeah, no, I like this one. Yeah, if you're listening on the podcast, you should tune in when we have our Facebook Live and YouTube Live sessions. We give you a little behind the scenes look. We do it generally earlier in the week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You can follow. Best way to do it is probably to follow GeekWire on Facebook or Gear Live Andrew Edwards on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah, you can watch the videos behind the scenes and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Give us your opinion. Nobody's really weighing in yet on Clips.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right.
Means.
So that's Clips. One other piece of news, a couple other pieces of news. Oh, and the GIF is working back here. Are you a GIF or a GIF guy, Andrew?
I think I say GIF.
Yeah, GIF. I am.
Is that okay?
Too. Yeah.
All right.
I prefer it. Let's just make Geared Up a GIF.
Right. It's not geared up, right? It's geared up. There's a G.
It's a hard G.
It's geared up.
So this is the Apple Watch.
The new Apple Watch bands.
Yes.
That's what we're seeing. So Apple tries to make the Apple Watch an accessory, and every season, or I guess it's every fall and every spring, they will revamp the line of bands that they offer. So they did that today. So you can see a bunch of different new bands in the nylon, in the sport, in the leather band, and also for the first time, the Nike Apple Watch bands are available for purchase separately from buying the Nike Apple Watch. So that's number one. Number two, also interesting, Apple now only sells the Apple Watch with 3 band choices. So before, you can buy the Apple Watch with all sorts of different bands.
Your choice.
Right. Not your choice exactly, but they had a bunch of different models of Apple Watch colors, like the watch itself, and then different bands to go along with those. Now, you can only buy an Apple Watch with a sport band, a leather band, or a Milanese loop. If you want any other band, you have to buy the band separately. So you can't say, I'm going to go in and buy the Apple Watch with the Metal Link band. You can't do that anymore. They used to do that. Now, no more.
How's the Apple Watch doing? Do you
It's
feel
the
like
best-selling smartwatch out there.
Right.
So, I mean,
but that's a relative
true
statement.
True, but I mean, it was hard. It was hard to get for the like in Q4. It was sold out everywhere. Whether you went to the Apple Store, whether you went to Best Buy, it was gone. So I think it's doing pretty well. That's not to say it's, because they don't break out that number, so they don't tell us on the quarterly call, here's how many Apple Watches we sold, like they do for iPad
Right.
and all that. So we don't know. We don't have an exact number, but it seems like it's doing pretty well because it's always hard to find. And again, it is the best-selling smartwatch out there. Like you said, that's a relative term, just like the iPad is the best-selling tablet. But I mean, I think it's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to say farewell now to the radio audience. We got more to talk about, though. We'll be right back on GeekWire. Welcome back. You're listening to Geared Up. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
We're talking about all the Apple news this week. And Andrew's also got some special bonus content
Got
coming
some
up
cool stuff.
for you Xbox One users out there. And also
MacBook
the
Pro.
new MacBook Pro folks. So stick around for that. We got a little bit more to talk about here. But first, wrapping up the Apple news.
Yeah.
What the heck is this thing? It's a red phone.
That's the Product Red.
Yes.
Product Red, Apple iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus, which I think is great. So Apple's had a partnership with Product Red for, I don't know, over a decade now, where they will sell red versions of accessories and some devices like iPods. And a portion of the sale goes to the Product Red Foundation, which helps fight AIDS. And so this is going to be, this is the biggest Product Red device they've ever released, because it's an iPhone.
Yeah.
So the closest they've had actually on my iPhone right here, that is a Product Red Apple case.
Oh.
So a portion of the sale of that case, which I think was $50, I think $5 went, towards the Product Red Foundation. This is an iPhone, though. People love iPhones. It's their best. Obviously, Apple is the iPhone plus everything else. Like, it's their best-selling product by far, makes them the most money by far. People love new iPhones, whether it's a brand new model or a brand new color. And every year when they release a new color, whether it was rose gold or regular gold or jet black, those are the fastest selling ones because they're new. So I think this is going to do, it's going to sell a lot. And it's also interesting that they're releasing a mid-cycle new color.
Yeah.
Just like the iPad and the iPhone SE and all that, there's nothing changed internally here. It's not faster, no better cameras. It's just a new color. But, truth be told, it's going to sell a lot. I'm going to pick one up on Friday. I'm going to replace my jet black with this, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of other people buying this.
So are you going to put a case on this beautiful red device?
No, I'm not.
So aren't you going to worry about it breaking, though?
No, listen, I never use a case, okay?
Well,
right, now I'm about to explain this.
Okay.
So on my iPhone 7 Plus, and Michael Ware might be watching this. He's someone who follows me, who always comments whenever I do a video. He sees this case on my phone, right? Because everybody knows I'm not a case guy. But what happened was I got the jet black iPhone 7 Plus, and it is so prone to scratches that I'm fearful of taking it out of the case. So I put it in this case and I leave the case on, and I hate the case every day just because I don't like the bulk of a case. I like having the svelte. You have a case.
Yeah,
you don't seem
I
to mind.
love my
You have a
case.
screen protector on there too. I don't do either of that. I don't do any of that stuff.
you know how many times I've dropped this thing?
No.
Lots.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't drop my phone. I've only dropped an iPhone to where there was damage one time in the 2007 to today period, where I actually dropped it and was like, oh my God, this is messed up. But I don't drop my phones that much. So, but I don't want to scratch it.
I love the OtterBox case, by the way.
It's so bulky.
I'll give them a plug.
It's so bulky.
Come on, that's not bulky.
It's just,
How is that bulky?
It's bulk.
No, it's not.
You've
Come on,
got
look
a
at this.
screen protector on there messing up the oleophobic coating.
The what?
The oleophobic coating that you have on there.
Coating.
Coating. Yes, it's coated with a layer of oleophobic spray, and it's the friction is just right on. I don't know. So I just don't like putting external stuff.
You're such a damn purist.
I don't like
Andrew.
putting external stuff on my iPhone, but I've had to do it with this jet black one, and now they're freeing me. So I'm going to go get this. I'm going to get rid of the jet black. I'm going to do a video on this, obviously.
Of course.
It's not going to be, I mean, you can't really, I've already reviewed the iPhone 7 Plus, so it's really going to be more of a, hey, let's take a look at the color or whatever. But, you know, I'm excited about this. And I always try to buy product red devices.
Do you know how much of the sale goes to product red, to the red?
I think it's 10%.
Okay. Do they jack up the price?
No.
So are you making the donation or is Apple?
No, Apple does.
Okay.
Same price, same. So whether you buy a product red iPhone or jet black or whatever other color, same price, but a portion goes to the Product Red Foundation. I think it's a great charity. I try to support it anywhere I can, especially if I'm buying a product and it's offered in product red, I'm just going to buy that one. It's the exact same product, and I know I'm helping out, you know, find a cure for AIDS.
Yeah.
So, I think it's cool. Now, what do you think of this, though? First of all,
I
are
think
you on iPhone? You're not on iPhone 7, are you?
I'm on an iPhone 6s Plus.
Okay, so are you going to...
I'm not. No, I think
here?
this product red device, AIDS research, fantastic,
Yes.
great. To me, this is more evidence that they're dumping the minor news today.
So what do you think? So if you were buying an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus, if you were buying one, would you pick this color, or do you think it doesn't look good?
That's such a loaded question. You just said you were going to get it. How can I?
No,
say
I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
You don't care what I think.
No, I mean, it's not going to affect me. I'm not going to be offended. I'm just curious if you think it looks good or not.
I do think it looks very beautiful.
So it's something you would consider?
I don't think I'd get it for myself.
Okay. So are you more of just like a plain black?
Yeah, give me something super understated.
So you like the black
I want
or
to be able to
space
sit
gray.
at the bar and not have some guy come up to me and go, "God, that's a that's a good looking iPhone.
Okay.
What is that?"
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
That's probably the wrong anecdote to share.
Yeah,
But
that's a weird. Has that ever happened to you? Wow.
no, it's never happened. It's never happened.
Because you always buy the black one. That's why, right? You picture everybody else, like people noticing their iPhones.
Yeah. Definitely bring this in when you get it, would you please?
Of course. I mean, obviously, I bring my phone everywhere I go. The other iPhone news is they also updated the iPhone SE today. So the iPhone SE is the 4-inch. It's the 4-inch iPhone.
Yes.
So it's the same form factor as the iPhone 5 and 5S. It has the iPhone 6 internals in the iPhone 5S body. So it's the iPhone SE. It was released last year. They updated it today, similar to the iPad, where there's no hardware updates other than it is now 64 gigabyte and 128 instead of 16 and 64, or I think it was 16 and 32. 16 and 64. So now it's 64 and 128. So 16 gigabyte iOS devices are gone across the board, iPhone or iPad. Same pricing. So if you want a fast, small iPhone that fits in the palm of your hand, you can use one-handed. The iPhone SE is that, and today it's cheaper at a larger capacity.
Monica Nicholsberg on our team loves her iPhone SE.
Really?
Yeah, can't say enough about it.
See, I can't do it.
Yeah, too small.
So, I mean, it used to be where, like, you know, when I had the iPhone back then and Android was having all these huge devices come out, I was like, I can never use that. And now Apple's iPhone 7 Plus is like the biggest device because Android's been losing the bezels for a while now. So you can actually get Android devices. We talked about it last time. The LG G6 has a bigger display and a smaller body than the iPhone 7 Plus. So yeah, I need Apple to get rid of these bezels.
Yeah. All right, we've got a couple other items to talk about. You got them here on the table.
Yeah,
in front of you.
some people were asking last time about I don't know if it was last time or the time before. We talked about video games, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and people were asking about running out of storage space. So with the Nintendo Switch, which only ships with 32 gigabytes of storage and gives you, I think, 26 gigabytes usable after the operating system and everything is taken into account. You can put in a micro SD card there. I brought in a couple last time. I use SanDisk. They've been around forever. They're great. I have a, I think, 128 gigabyte card or 200 gigabyte card in my Nintendo Switch. For Xbox, I brought in, so first of all, there's this. This is the Xbox Game Drive by Seagate. So Seagate makes this. Podcast listeners, I'm holding in my hand the Seagate Game Drive for Xbox. So Seagate worked with Microsoft on this drive. I don't know what that means other than the look of it because it's Xbox branded and it's green. But I mean, inside it's just a hard drive. But it's 4 gigabytes. It's USB 3.0 speeds. So you plug this into your Xbox One or Xbox 360 and you can store up to 4 terabytes of games on this, and they'll just run right off of here. Now, the PlayStation also just released an update, I believe last week, that now allows you to do the same thing there. And there's nothing special about this that makes it Xbox only. So you can buy one of these and plug it into your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 4 Pro, and again, store 4 terabytes of games on here and play them right off the drive. And, so if you run out of space on your actual device, you can use that. Now, if you want to load faster, there's this. This is the Xbox Game Drive for Xbox SSD. So this is a 512 gigabyte external hard drive. Again, same as this other one, but instead of being massive storage, 4 terabytes with a spinning hard drive, this is an SSD drive, and this lets you store 512 gigabytes of games and have them load super fast. So again, USB 3, but SSD speeds. Okay. So your loading times will be cut down greatly. And I actually use that with one of my favorite titles, Fallout. Some of the load times were getting up to like 40 seconds as you progress through the game, which is, ridiculous. Like you open a door and you have to wait 40 seconds to do the next thing you want to do. I switched to this and it chopped it down to about 17 seconds. Wow. So Xbox Game Drive for SSD. I'll leave links in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, just check down there if you want to pick any of this up.
By the way, there's a debate. You're getting fact-checked in the YouTube comments.
Who's fact-checking me? What happened?
They're saying the Red phone does cost more. The product Red
phone
does cost more.
How much does it cost?
Okay, here, wait.
What do they think it is? What do they think the price is? Because I can tell you the price off the top of my head.
Edwin Soto mentions, by the way, while we're fact-checking that, Edwin Soto says it's reported that Apple has raised more than $65 million for Red since 2006.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what? You don't seem impressed.
How much cash does Apple have on hand?
Well, I mean, Apple's not in business to give all their cash to Product Red, but Apple is devoting resources to developing Product Red products, and they're giving $65 million is a lot of money, so that's cool.
So Edwin is saying we need to look this up. $749 for Red, $649 for regular.
So let me clarify what people are missing. The Product Red iPhones, they're not up here anymore.
Yeah, we can put it back.
The Product Red iPhones are similar to the Jet Black iPhones, where they are not available in 64 gigabytes. So the 64 gigabyte iPhones start at $650 and $769 for iPhone 7 or iPhone 7 Plus. 128 is where it gets up to $750. So for $750, if you get a 128 gigabyte black, red, jet black, silver, gold, or rose gold iPhone, they will all be $750 or $829 if you want the 7 Plus.
So $750 is the comparable price here.
Yes, $750 for the same. So you just can't get these in 64 gigabytes. So the $650 doesn't exist for this or the jet black. But for the comparable price of 128 or 256, they cost exactly the same. So it doesn't cost any more. They're just not available in the cheapest configuration.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Anything else you want to show us here?
Yeah, this right here, man. This is the best. Okay, look. This is the Hyperdrive.
So for people who aren't seeing this, it's the same exact color as your new MacBook Pro, which is sitting over there.
So I have the space gray MacBook Pro.
And it's basically like a little strip.
It's a strip. So it's what you have on here is 2 USB-C connectors. So you plug it in, and they're spaced appropriately to plug right in. So you plug it into your MacBook Pro, like so. Right? So that's it. It's in. And then all along the Hyperdrive, you got all these different ports. So you have a full-size HDMI. You have one Thunderbolt port, Thunderbolt 3. You have one USB-C, USB 3.1 speeds. You have a micro SD. You have a regular SD. And you have 2 USB 3.0 ports as well. So basically...
That looks like what's built into my MacBook Pro.
Right. So in one... Well, you don't have Thunderbolt 3.
Well...
Don't you dare try to say you have Thunderbolt 3.
No, I don't have Thunderbolt 3. But basically, that's the same functionality that I actually have in the MacBook Pro sold 3 years ago.
So for people who buy the new MacBook Pro...
When they upgraded the new MacBook Pro, to get back to what they had 3 years ago, they've got to buy this extra thing.
You don't have to. You can buy the dongles that go in here.
True.
But this just gives you one device that plugs in, and everything here is through Thunderbolt 3 though. So it's all fast. It transfers power and everything. And there's more on here than what you like. There's a micro SD. Like no MacBook has ever shipped with micro SD.
So this is on Indiegogo.
No, not anymore. So it was on Indiegogo. It was $79, and now it's actually just selling. So you can actually just buy one of these, $79.
So it's called a Hyperdrive.
It's called the Hyperdrive. It's the Thunderbolt USB-C hub for the MacBook Pro. And if you have a MacBook Pro, one of the new ones that only have the Thunderbolt ports, it is a nice thing to have in your bag.
I guess my point is, doesn't this speak to the kind of the misstep that Apple made by shifting away from all these ports?
I don't think so, because, Apple also sold, after they got rid of the CD drive, they sell an external, even still to today, they sell an external DVD drive that if you want to buy one, if you need a DVD drive for your Mac, they sell one. If you need, there was a time where they got rid of the floppy, where they got rid of, they were the first one to put regular USB on their computers. And I think what they're saying is a lot of stuff you don't really need. And it's not like I don't keep this plugged in all the time.
Okay.
I only bust it out when I absolutely need one of these ports, which is rare. And the one that I probably would need the most as someone who does video is the SD card slot. But now the cameras that I have, so the new GoPro and the new Panasonic GH5 that we talked about a few weeks ago, all these cameras are now shipping with a USB-C built in. So now you just plug in a USB-C into the camera and then you plug the other end right into the Mac.
Can I tell you what I want?
What do you want?
I want a DSLR that supports AirDrop. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Now, see, that you would buy.
Absolutely.
That you would buy.
I want stuff that actually solves my problems.
Okay.
Is that an issue?
A DSLR that has AirDrop built in. Now, does it have to be AirDrop or can it just be Wi-Fi transfer?
So I've tried those iFi cards. I've tried them, and they work great in a sterile office environment. Fantastic. Where I need them is at events where I'm snapping pictures, we're live blogging. I need to snap a picture and have it go in. And I made them this. You ready for a rant?
Uh-oh.
I made the mistake of buying a Sony Alpha model.
When was this?
DSLR 4 years ago.
Okay.
I loved the lenses. It looked great, shoots great video, good stuff from Sony. But it was one of the models that does not support tethering. And the benefit of tethering is not only that you can control your DSLR from your computer if you're doing a high-end photo shoot, but the photos can come in over essentially USB to your and that's a way of doing the live blog and effectively wired what I want to do wirelessly. Yes. So, but what I want, wouldn't it be great? You snap a picture, you hit a button, and it shows up in just wirelessly, it shows up in your downloads.
Yes. But some cameras, high-end DSLRs, for example, the one I used was the Panasonic G7. I'm switching over to the Panasonic G5. They have an app, the Panasonic Image app, that allows me to control my camera, what you were just talking about, tethered, but wirelessly. And then as I take photos, it can import them right into my camera roll. It's not using AirDrop, but it will use its own app, its own communication, and just pull them right into your
camera roll on your
device,
on your phone or
your
your
iOS device, whether it's your tablet or your phone.
Yeah. See, I want them on a computer.
Okay, they might do it on a computer too, but I just use my iPad for that kind of stuff.
Okay,
so,
before we end here, I just want to resolve the product red debate.
Okay,
Edwin Soto says Andrew is correct.
Yeah.
All right. See you next week, everybody. That was us dropping the mic.
Come on. We're talking about tech here. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to stump me. I'm just saying. This is what I do every day. This is what I do every day.
All right. That's another episode of Geared Up. Until next time, I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
Talk to you next time, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Geared Up, the weekly tech and gadget podcast. Check out more of Andrew's reviews at youtube.com/gearlive and follow all of our coverage at geekwire.com.